And welcome to the webinar today, which is going to be looking at the online distance learning programmes, global mental health and public health. So we have our academics here today that are going to talk through hopefully just the overview of the programme and let you know what it's like to come and study online distance learning at the University of Glasgow. And then you can feel free to ask any questions at the end. I don't know if somebody wants to start first, if there's a preference.
Brilliant, I'm happy to go first. So my name is Dr. Sharon Greenwood. I'm currently the stand-in programme lead for the Public Health Online Masters. Usually it's Dr. Hayley Connell, but she's currently on maternity leave, but will be coming back in the autumn. So our online public health programme runs over 3 years. There are 3 core courses, and then you would take 3 optional courses and do a research project. So our core courses that you must take are Intro to Epidemiology and Statistics, which is a brand new 20 credit course, which will be launching in September. Principles of Public Health, which is a long-standing course, but introduces you to the basics of public health and what public health really means. And then a 20 credit course on research methods, which introduces you to the process of doing research in a scholarly way, providing you with the appropriate skills needed to be able to do your project. We also have a wide range of optional courses that are available. So I am going to pass over to Margaret, who is our wonderful administrator, because Margaret knows better than me off the top of her head what all the optional courses are.
Hi, so I'm Margaret and I'm the postgraduate administrator for the online MPH. We do the optional courses we have, which are specific to the MPH, are in semester 2 we have advanced epidemiology, further epidemiology and statistics, globalization and public health, and then in the summer semester we have health promotion, qualitative research methods and health economics.
And after you would finish all of your top courses, you would move on to do your final year project, which is worth 60 credits of your 180 credits in total. And this is a project that you would be doing either primary data collection or secondary data analysis or a systematic style review on a public health issue of your choice. We do have the ability to offer some set projects as well. So some of our online students are currently doing projects that are led by some of the leading scholars in our school. I think probably that's just a brief overview. I don't know if it's maybe worthwhile maybe passing over to Julie now so she can tell you a little bit more about the Global Mental Health Masters.
Great, thank you very much, Sharon. So my name is Julie Langan-Martin. I'm the Programme Director for the Online Distance Learning Global Mental Health Masters Programme. And the structure is kind of similar to the Masters of Public Health in that the students undertake the study on a part-time basis. So usually it takes them around about 3 years to complete the full MSc. And we also have 3 core courses that students have to undertake to complete the Masters in Global Mental Health. And these courses are Themes in Global Mental Health, which provides a general overview of global mental health, what that is, some of the challenges associated with diagnosing and managing mental illness across a range of cultural, social settings. And then the second core course is Mental Health and Disability, International Law and Policy, where students learn about some of the human rights kind of context for people with mental health problems across the globe. We think about mental health law and capacity legislation again throughout the globe, and think about stigma and things like that in that particular course. And then the third core course is Research Methods in Health and Wellbeing. And this course is kind of similar to what Sharon said, provides a kind of research grounding for people in order for them to go on and complete their dissertation, which they do in year 3. So we also have a range of optional courses for students undertaking study in the Global Mental Health programme. So some of our optional courses include mental health promotion across the lifespan, which looks at mental health problems right across the lifespan. We think about kind of suicide and suicide prevention as well within that course. Another optional course is improving access to mental health care in the global context, where we think about things like task shifting, task sharing, and how we can improve access, to mental health for everybody throughout the world. Another optional course is Cultural, Social and Biological Determinants of Mental Health. Again, where we think about some of the kind of social inequalities and the determinants of mental health. And then we've got a range of other optional courses that are shared across different programmes. So things like Globalisation and Public Health is an optional course for our global mental health students, Qualitative Research Methods for Public Health, Health Promotion, Health Economics, Introduction to Stats. So a wide variety of optional courses for people in year two of the Global Mental Health Masters programme. And again, in year 3, students undertake the Global Mental Health dissertation. And again, this can be a primary research study where students will go and collect their own data from a wide variety of settings, or students might sometimes do a secondary data analysis, maybe working with a researcher who has existing data, or as kind of Sharon mentioned, some students undertake a systematic review of the literature. So again, a wide range of research projects which would fulfill the requirements for a global mental health dissertation, depending on what students like to do. And again, some students will do their own project, and we do have a kind of bank of projects that are kind of supervisor led that students can choose as well. So again, that's a kind of whirlwind kind of overview of the online MSc in global mental health.
Thanks for the overview. I don't know if anybody has any questions currently. We do have a list of questions that we can go through in a second, but I don't know if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask at this point. We can get through some of the questions that students have sent in for us to answer. So one of the main questions that a lot of students were asking about scholarships and funding sources for their online programs. I'm going to pop a couple of links into the chat just now for people to access. So we currently have a scholarship little table on our website where you can input the details of your program and which country you're from, and it can show you a list of scholarships that we currently have available. So I'll pop the link into the chat just now for that. A couple of other questions are talking about job prospects, either in Scotland or in their home country after the degree. I don't know if either of you could talk a little bit about that. Sharon, do you want to go first?
Yep, very happy to. With public health, it's obviously since COVID, everyone is talking about public health now. It's become a really popular area of study, and it's also become a really prevalent area of work as well. In Scotland, a lot of our graduates go on to work for the NHS, which is our National Health Service. They also go on to work in our Public Health Scotland field, either as data analysts, as public health practitioners, as researchers. But most of our students, particularly for the on-campus course, are international students and go back to their home countries and practice public health in their own areas. So we're really fortunate, and I feel really lucky as a programme lead that I get to learn so much about my students and where they all come from, and just tap into the real wealth and experience that people have. So a lot of people are really established medics in their field and their home countries. They come here to learn about public health, and then it's a kind of motivator for change for them that they want to move into that field wherever in the world. And we do have, like I say, we have a wide variety of students from all over the world, and a lot of our students now are moving into various different areas, whether that's in government sector, if it's in third sector, so for charitable organisations. Some people actually work in industry as well, and I think it's just important to emphasise the transferable skills that you get, and thinking about the research method skills, the epidemiological skills, and the statistics skills. So lots of skill building that you can transfer to different job sectors.
Yeah, so for the global mental health course, again, very similar to what Sharon is saying, a lot of our students come from really diverse backgrounds. So we've got people that are maybe working as clinicians, or we've got people maybe coming from kind of social work background, some people coming from anthropology background, lots of, you know, variety of students coming to either the UK to study or studying online. And as Sharon mentioned, we're very keen for students to develop a lot of transferable skills. And in terms of kind of tracking our alumni, we've had lots of students go on to work in lots of different settings. So we've had some people go on to work actually at the UN and the WHO. We've had a couple of students working there. We've also had students going on to do higher degrees, so studying for PhDs, for example. Some students then go on to the clinical psychology doctorate programme. And we've had students take up posts in kind of as lecturers in various universities across the world. And then, as Sharon says, some students going into the third sector, working in NGOs or working for other kind of charities. Some students have gone into industry as well. So really diverse kind of career trajectories for our students. And it's something that we're very keen to do, to kind of map and, you know, understand the trajectory of all our students, but lots of job opportunities moving forward.
Excellent, that sounds fantastic. We've had a question popped into the chat, so I'll just read this one out. Are both master's programmes taught with a diverse perspective in considering different cultures and races, etc., as well as the social, as opposed to medical model of disability?
Yes, absolutely yes. Certainly with public health, historically public health has been a very westernized discipline, very Western-centric discipline. It's focused largely on the kind of knowledge that's been built in universities rather than the wonderful knowledge that we've got all across the world. And we've got a really nice programme now where we're starting to tap into the various different resources. So we've got excellent courses such as globalisation, where we think about the role of globalisation. What does it mean in the context of public health? Our Principles of Public Health course, while it focuses a lot more on the UK basis in terms of the NHS, it contextualises that within a much wider worldwide setting. And yes, absolutely, in terms of the social model, we're very much speaking for the whole team, we're very much social model advocates and trying to think about the different ways and we consider health, and definitely take a kind of WHO perspective on what is health, and health is a more holistic understanding rather than the basic functions of a body. I'll pass over to you, Julie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, our kind of Global Mental Health Masters programme is taught with kind of diverse perspectives very much in mind. And in particular, our course, Cultural, Social and Biological Determinants of Mental Health, does do that in a you know, a very kind of great focus. So we are very fortunate that we've had a number of international contributors to our course as well. So we've been able to have contributors from countries like Sierra Leone and from New Zealand, really from kind of all over the world, which has been really helpful just to help us develop our course materials. So we have a strong focus on the biopsychosocial model of health and wellbeing, and not focusing just on the medical model. So absolutely, we do try and take as diverse a view as possible. I think, as Sharon kind of alluded to, it's something that we could always do better. And it's something that we're keen to look at. In particular, at the moment, we've got a little project on the go thinking about how we can decolonise the curriculum. So again, just thinking about making sure that we're, you know, taking a diverse, diverse look at the curriculum that we have created. So we do it, but I think we could always do it better.
We've had another student that was had sent in a question, which was asking about the statistics module on the programme page. So I think it's an optional course on the global mental health. I'm not sure if there's one on the public health as well. They're asking, is there any software that will be provided by the university for this module?
It's R, it uses R, which is free to download. So as well as when you do that, it's being replaced by the Introduction to Epidemiology and Statistics course. So at the moment, that's a 20 credit course, but it will become part of the new 20 credit course, which will include epidemiology and statistics, but it does use R, and lots of information is provided about R, as well as a couple of live practicals for students, which are recorded if they're not able to attend. So there are lots of help is available to students to learn how to use R.
That's brilliant, excellent. So we can feed that back to the students as well. Another question that's came in is they're asking about how to improve research methodology. Don't know if you can give a general overview answer to this.
So I think, sorry Sharon for jumping here. I think it's something that a lot of students are maybe a little bit anxious about when they're coming to study about their kind of research method skills and things like this. So the research methods course that's available for our online distance learning students, you know, really does take a kind of bottom-up approach, if that makes sense. So the course leads are not assuming any prior knowledge. So it does provide an overview of qualitative, quantitative, and some health economics research methodologies. So there's, you know, there's lots of material available, if that makes sense, you know, for students to engage with. And the course leads are very responsive to any queries or any questions and things like this, because we recognise that some students maybe are a little bit worried if they've, you know, maybe been out of study for a number of years, or they've maybe coming from a discipline that's maybe a bit different. So again, it's something that there'll be lots of support for you, and please don't feel too worried about that, because we do have students from loads of diverse backgrounds, you know, so people from kind of anthropology backgrounds or English literature background, for example, who will have, you know, their research methods, training and skills will be, you know, potentially very different from what we are looking for. So there'll be lots of support to help students, you know, build up their research methods skills and training.
Yeah, and I think just to add on to that, we've got slightly different research. Oh no, for online, we've got the same research methods course that both public health and global mental health use. So actually you'll get to interact with people across our School of Health and Wellbeing, so to speak to different people and get involved with them.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, we've had quite a lot of questions come in about the research aspect of the programme. So some people have asked, what are the best sources to find medical research?
A lot of research now is actually published as open access. So a good starting point for that, before you learn how to properly search for materials through things like Medline, would be to even just use use Google, and we've got Google Scholar, which is a wonderful way to get access to academic papers. As I was saying, a lot of the things are public access and open access for you to read, and you don't need to be a member of an institution to be able to read that. So you should be able to read kind of academic papers without being a member of an institution. And I think as well, just to add on to that, the academic papers, obviously, most of them will have, unless they're a kind of more theoretical based paper, will have methodological sections in it. So you actually learn more about the methods by engaging with academic work through that as well.
Excellent, thank you. Somebody has just popped in a couple of questions into the chat. So when will applications open for September 24 entry? Applications.
October.
Sorry?
It's October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so applications open up on the 1st of October normally. So the university will accept applications up to the day before, and then on the 1st of October they'll open up applications for the next cycle. So that would be for September 2024 start. So yes, 1st of October. There are some other questions that have came in as well. So someone has asked how to balance their work life and study. I don't know if you both have parts to say on that question.
I think with the online programme, it's balanced in a way that we really promote asynchronous learning, and that means learning at your own pace. So there are expectations to keep up with the rate of the course, but within a week you could be studying at your own time, wherever you are in the world, and contributing in an asynchronous way. So from where you are, contributing points on Microsoft Teams or through our Moodle forums, and being able to kind of have it adapt around your life. And I think that's really important, particularly for a lot of our students who are working in healthcare settings and might actually be having a lot of shift work. People who have caring responsibilities, it's a bit easier if you are doing an online programme to fit that in and around your pre-existing commitments that you've got, whether that's professional or personal. That's a real value and a strength compared to our on-campus programme, where there are expectations to be on campus. So I think the ODL programme definitely offers that.
And also, though most of our students study over 3 years, there is the option to study up to 6 years. So there is flexibility when you're studying. So some students will take a semester off, some students will take a year off, as long as you complete your studies within that 6 years. Not many go for the full 6 years, but it's very common for students to go beyond the 3 years into the 4 years, and it's often because they've had a semester or a year or a few months off, just because something's happened, personal circumstances, their work has changed. So there is a lot of flexibility in how you study when you're online. The only thing we would say is once you've enrolled for a course, you have to finish it in the given time. But there is definitely the flexibility of, you know, having some time off if you need to do that.
That's definitely great to know, and I'm sure some of our students will definitely appreciate that information and the fact that they can put their studies on hold for a short period if they have other commitments going on in their life. I suppose that is definitely a huge benefit of online distance learning. So I'm sure our students will be grateful for that information. Thanks, Margaret. We've had another student question. The student has said, I've completed year 2 of my medical imaging degree, and they're on to get a first, and they're on the Dean's list. Well done. They've said they cannot complete the final placement, so they've transferred. However, will this programme be suitable for them to take on sorry, I don't think they've popped it in the question, but I think it's in here.
I think it's mental health, Danielle. It says, yes,
yeah.
It's mental health.
Yeah, so is that going to be a possibility for the student?
Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely encourage the student to apply, and yeah, we'll absolutely have a look at the application. So as I said, you know, we have had students before from a really wide range of kind of backgrounds. So absolutely, I definitely recommend you apply, and we can certainly have a look at that application.
Excellent, thank you for that. There's been a few other student concerns in the questions that they sent in prior, just to ask about the different time zones and the lectures. So are these going to be pre-recorded, or are any of them going to be live sessions?
So majority of things are, as I was mentioning earlier, asynchronous. So they are pre-organized materials. It's generally it is a series of, it's a working package, if you like, that's comprised of videos, quizzes, text, supported guided study. It's not just a recorded 1 hour lecture for you to watch. It's much more interactive and a bit more engaging, and it helps you learn a bit more. I don't know if Julie, if you want to maybe talk a wee bit more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Sharon mentioned, most of our learning resources are asynchronous, and they're kind of organized in kind of little chunks, if that makes sense. So kind of bite-sized sort of 20-minute chunks that you might kind of work your way through. Some courses do have live sessions, as Margaret alluded to, so things like that are practicals might be kind of live, but they are always recorded, so that if students are working or in a different time zone or whatever, and it's not possible for them to, you know, attend the live session, there will always be recordings available. So most material is asynchronous, so you can dip in and out of it at your own kind of leisure and your own time. But there are a few live kind of sessions for some courses, which will always be pre-recorded, so you can always watch them back.
I mean, I would say about the live sessions are not usually sort of what you would call integral to the course. They're normally maybe an extra session or a Q&A session. They're not lectures or anything like that. So you're not really missing out on anything if you're not able to join it live. You will be able to get the same from the recordings as you would if you attended live. The other thing I think it's to point out is the materials are released 1 week at a time. So you've got 1 week of materials which you can work through at your own pace and your own time, and then the following week another set of materials are released, and then halfway through the course you have 5 weeks, then you have a catch-up week. So it just gives students an opportunity who have maybe fallen behind a little bit to catch up on that, and then you have another 5 weeks of materials.
That's great. I know we did talk about job prospects earlier on. We have had a student ask us from India. They've got a couple of questions. So they've asked, will they be eligible to apply for a job in the UK with their degree?
It's much more of an issue about visas. So that's not really a question we can answer. It would be much more of a question you could propose to the international office, who are part of the university. But certainly, you know, the degree would help to show that you've got a kind of understanding of UK higher education and the expectations of what research and things are here. So it can definitely help. But again, it comes down to visa issues, which are much more at a government level than us.
And that'll apply to both programs.
Yeah.
That's great. I will also, when we follow up with our email to the students who have registered for the event, I will include lots of links in that email. So there'll be links about funding, scholarships. I'll add in some links to the web pages where there's just more information on there for our postgraduate students. I will also put in some contact details as well for our international office, so that students can direct any questions such as visa questions to our international office. So hopefully that will be helpful. Also, I'd like to mention as well, if there are any students that have posted any questions about admissions requirements, the requirements are on the web pages, which again I'll link in the email. I don't know if either of our academics, Sharon and Julie, want to mention anything about admissions requirements for your programme.
We currently have a 2-1 admission requirement, so you have to have an undergraduate degree at 2-1. But we are a bit more flexible with this, because we do realise and recognise that a lot of people maybe have had maybe undertaken their undergraduate degree many years ago, but have been working in practice. So any kind of borderline cases definitely are looked at, and if in your personal statement or your letter, definitely outline any personal experience that you've got in relation to your working life, particularly if you've been working in public health or mental health. You know, that's the kind of experience that we want to see, and it's not a direct no if you don't have a 2-1. So just bear that in mind, and it's always good to try, and I think the admissions office, or they've got an online portal that you can ask questions. So even if you're a bit unsure, drop them an email or a question online, and they should be able to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very similar to the MPH. So we do usually ask students to have a 2-1 or above, but we recognise some degrees though don't have that classification. So things like dental degrees, medical degrees, and some nursing degrees don't have the kind of first class honours, 2-1, etc. So it isn't a hard and fast rule. And any cases that are a little bit borderline, we would encourage people to apply, and then we always kind of review applications that are maybe kind of on the cusp. And as Sharon said, if you highlight any relevant experience in your kind of cover letter, again, that's going to help your case.
Excellent, thank you. We've had another student question come in, and it's asking about the transcript of their degree once they've completed. Will it be noted on there anywhere to say that it's an online distance learning program or on-campus program? Does this get specified in the transcript?
It doesn't, no, it will just say Master of Public Health or Global Mental Health. It won't mention the method of delivery.
I don't know if Sharon and Julie want to talk about if there's any differences between the online distance learning program and on-campus program.
Certainly for the Masters in Public Health programme, we do offer more options for our on-campus students, but we are moving to really develop our online options, and hopefully within the next year or so we'll have another couple of options online that we can offer for our online cohort. So even if you're thinking about applying, or you've applied for this year, hopefully you'll see the benefit of that when you come to year 2. And likewise, if you're thinking about applying next year, then you definitely will see the benefit of it because you will have those extra options and the benefits of us revising our materials. And our online offerings have grown over the years, and actually we're just trying to revise and make sure that our course is suitable for people all over the world.
Yep, so within the Global Mental Health Masters, we've done a lot of work to try and kind of harmonise our online distance learning resources and our our on-campus resources, if that makes sense. So there's been quite a lot of work to make sure that the course content are very, very similar. So all the core content that you guys would get as an online distance learning student, the on-campus students get as well, if that makes sense. So they are essentially equal, and although they're not exactly equivalent, we have done a lot of work to try and harmonise them and make them as similar as possible, if that makes sense. I think the on-campus students there are a little bit more options for the optional courses, but largely the core courses are certainly very similar.
And I think when an online and an on-campus course, they often run in the same semester, and it will be the same assessments. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing it online or on campus, it will be the same assessments for both sets of students.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
That's great, thank you. Just jumping back again into the admissions questions, we've had someone say in the chat, does this mean that every single application is going to get considered? Do you have to meet the GPA requirement?
Again, it's more on a case-by-case basis. So we've got a massive admissions team, because obviously the University of Glasgow is massive. We have so many students, both physically in person, but also online. And our admissions teams deal with the applications in the first instance, and then they come to us. So at that point where there are, questions about if someone hasn't maybe got a full GPA or they're on a borderline, as Julie had said about being on the cusp, those are the cases that would come to us, and we would be reviewing them one-to-one. But our admissions teams are very experienced, and we kind of outline to them what candidates we are looking for and what the kind of candidate profile is. Yeah.
I mean, you would have to be quite near. Mm-hmm. So if you were quite a bit lower than that, then admissions wouldn't consider you. But as Sharon says, if you were kind of borderline, just below, or then. And you can always come back and ask for your application to be reviewed. If your application is declined, you can always contact the generic programme email and ask for your application to be reviewed. And we're always happy to do that. It's not to say that we would overturn the decision, but we will absolutely review it if a student asks us to do that.
And in some cases, like what Julie had mentioned about having work experience, actually maybe it's the case that you maybe just need a bit more work experience, and actually contacting us on the programme email addresses, we can signpost that to you and suggest maybe of, you know, taking up voluntary opportunities wherever you're from, and actually that might help support your application in the future.
Another thing I was going to say is sometimes we've had a few cases over the years where our students maybe not quite met the entry requirements for the MSc, but we've said you could come and do the postgraduate certificate. And then, you know, if students do really well on the kind of those courses and their GPA is high enough, then actually sometimes we would let them go on to do the diploma and then indeed go on and do the full MSc. So there are, again, on a case-by-case basis, opportunities to discuss things for people that maybe, you know, don't meet the kind of the entry requirements, but have got loads of work experience and have been working, you know, for years in certain organisations and things like this. We will always, you know, review things and, you know, take it from there.
I think if anybody's in doubt on whether or not they would be accepted or eligible for applying, I think it's best to apply for it, provide as much information as possible. And, you know, like Julie and Sharon have said, if the application comes back and it says that it's been declined, you can reach out further and hopefully you can discuss the entry requirements at further with the academics. We do have another question that's came in to ask, do online students get the same access to resources as on-campus students? This is such as help with their academic writing, healthcare and counselling services. I don't know if anybody has anything off the top of their head that they want to mention at this stage.
Definitely get the same. The university offers generic courses like academic writing, and they are available to online students as well as on-campus students. The library, I mean, if you're studying online, everything that you will be asked, you know, that will be referenced will be available electronically. So we would never ask a student to read or look at something that they would have to actually physically read in a book. It will all be available electronically. The university does have a counselling service, and I can't honestly say how that would be for online students, but I'm sure there is definitely access for online students as well as on-campus students.
Certainly some of our on-campus students who have had to maybe go back home to a different country have been able to access counselling services over Zoom and things. So I wouldn't necessarily think it would be in essence a barrier, but again, as Margaret says, we can't confirm it for sure.
Students will be given a student card as well, but I think they can collect it, so you get that.
Yes, yeah. So it's if you register, once you've fully registered and uploaded a photograph, you will be sent a student card. I mean, obviously, if you don't receive that for some reason, you can let us know and we will make sure that you get one. But yes, you get the same. And there is a reciprocal agreement the university has, all universities have with some universities in other countries where you can physically go and use libraries at other universities. All this information, you have a thing called a program hub. So every program has a hub, and all of this kind of generic information will be available on the hub about counselling services, student welfare, the library, everything will be available. But yes, definitely I would say, really, if you're an online student, the only difference between you and an on-campus student should be the fact that you're not physically here in Glasgow. Everything else that is available to an on-campus student should be available to an online student.
Thank you for that. Hopefully that answers the question. If there are any online students and they are in Glasgow or nearby, they can actually use the facilities on campus as well. So they do get that option. If they do live nearby, they can come to campus and have a walk around and see the facilities that we have. The library, I think, has 12 floors. It is a very, very big library on campus, and I think it's open till 2 in the morning if there's any late birds that like to study at night. But yes, there is a lot of facilities on campus. So if you are nearby and you want to visit, you can do. There's also, I don't think anybody's mentioned it, but there is graduations as well, which our online students are very much welcome to join and come onto campus to attend their graduation ceremonies at the end of their qualification. So again, very much, there should be no barriers between an online student and an on-campus student. They're very much treated the same and have access to the same materials and facilities. So yeah. As I mentioned before, there are going to be like a lot of links that I send out so that people can access all of this information online as a follow-up after the webinar today. I think that's all of the questions that we've had posted in so far. So thank you to everybody, Margaret, Sharon, and also Julie, for answering all of those questions. We do appreciate it. The session is recorded, so we will send that out as well to all of the people that registered for the webinar. If there's nothing else, then we would just like to thank you and hopefully welcome you all in September.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.